It's a very personal album, first and foremost. Very, very personal album. And second albums tend to be really whack. You know what I mean? They don't seem to have the same depth the first one has. So I've gone to really go overboard and be completely honest with the second one. And it's threefold the input, creative input, and threefold the honesty, and threefold just the material. Do you know what I mean? It's just so diverse. I couldn't really get that many opposite corners if I tried it. I couldn't get any further apart on any of the tracks if I tried. You know, and I kind of pushed myself to the limit of exhaustion on it, do you know what I mean? Which I wanted to be, and I didn't want, you know, and that's the whole good thing about taking the time I needed to take on this. It's been the right time, do you know what I mean? And I've had to wait for certain things to pass. Because, you know, Saturnz Return is a real thing. It's not a thing where you just call it out for the sake of it. You have to wait for certain things to finish in your life of a big hero, do you know what I mean? And Mother's kind of coming back around and kind of rebuilding that relationship that I have with my mother, which is quite mad. And also moving on from that and just not blaming anybody for where I've been or why, you know, why things were the way they were. But they just made me a better person anyway, to be quite honest. I wouldn't be here now if I wasn't separated from that situation, that thing. So that's really, in a sense, it's been a building strength, and also that I don't have to be bitter about it, and I can carry on and say, look, you know, I was familyless from like 3 onwards, so I've had to retrace my steps. So this whole album is about being able to actually put a puzzle back together again. It wasn't a finished story. It was a story of here I am, and this is what I do. This is my emotions, and I know if they're mixed up a little bit, but they have a lot of energy in it, and it's very positive energy. And this has been about being really honest and on the ball and completely on the button to exactly what is really going on, what is really inside of me, do you know what I mean? So I'm peeling my skin off and I put a light next to it about a foot away. I can still feel the heat from it, which is really, really close. At the same time, it leaves no integrity in doing so, because I'm of that age where I can do that now. And I've kind of mastered my art, and I think that I'm already on the 3rd album now. In my head, the 3rd album's about just me having fun and not having to explain myself and not having to explain what anything is about. And this album just picks up really very important pieces of my life, do you know what I mean? And you know, so Mother's opening the album. And there's digital KRS-One on the CD too. Digital, which KRS-One is like my, you know, old school hero, which is real cool. It was just freaky. It was just wicked. Just got to New York and working with him. You know, people like KRS that do work in an environment where they've survived in the hip hop community for years. Everyone's always been sampling hip hop from over here, and I think that if South Bronx was in Hackney, people want their money. You know what I mean? You have to give people respect. It's no different than people sampling reggae. If Jamaica was right next door to, you know, St Albans, people who just be going down and chopping people's door down and asking for money and royalties. And I think that people in positions can get in those, you know, people within that scene who are now getting signed to majors and stuff can approach those artists and do it under the kind of major umbrella. But not, you know, a lot of people on that major umbrella are just throwing mixes to the bitches. They're actually just throwing mixes to us. And go, right, rework this for the British market, and they're all getting paid silly when they should be integrating the artists. When the artists come over here, look, you want to pop in the studio for a day, because they're all getting off on it abroad. I just knew that track was finished when I got on the plane, because it's the way that I knew that when we talked about it prior and said, I want you to sit on those lyrics and just, you know, write them in a way that it's just, it doesn't sound like it's 160 BPM. It doesn't seem like that kind of track, you know. And it has the momentum of what future beats are for hip hop guys, you know, in the sense of that for me. And obviously the vibe when you're doing it, you know, going in there with KRS-One was really funny, you know. Rob Playford was really being stiff about it, like, oh, I don't think we've got enough. I'm like, I'm the producer, let me produce. It's like, he's done enough, that's what he needs to do, because he needs to catch it in those 3 verses, that's all I want him to do. Anything else, I'm forcing the hand of a guy who's 10 times my b-boy history. I don't need to do that. If he says the shit's done and he's had enough, that's cool. and he just rolled out on it, and that's all I need, because I can't have it all that easy for me. Believe is just a fat soul track, man. It's just a fat soul track, and it was, you know, it was kind of like an old love in my life. You know what I mean? I kind of just, a girl called Tracy, we used to see for quite a while. I just said, like, you know, this is kind of going back in time and just going, like, you know, about having faith, and it was good when we had it, you know. Things have moved on, but it's just been really, it was really good. This is like a soul track, man. It's that vibe for me that was really that, you know, my soul's become very mature, you know. It's become it's become very deep. It was already very deep a long time, but it's, a lot of these things surfaced that were very deep. And I think, so to get deep, for me on my second album, to go even deeper on people is, for me, the best thing. Because people's second albums just don't really cut it. Because they get too used to the euphoria it's created on the first one, they just get carried away with the whole thing. This is all of the bad times, some of the bad times, worst times I've ever had in my life on this album. But there were times that were buried. There's a surface of my life, then there's underneath that surface of my life, and there were some serious things that went on in my life that people never knew about, that I've been able to finally put behind me, which is like midlife crisis, Saturnz Return. And Saturnz Return has dealt with what Saturnz Return actually is, you know what I mean? A time in your life where you get to a crunch at your head. You say, I've stopped running. In my life now, I've stopped running. And in doing so, it all comes back to you, you know. I've had my parents back in my life. I've had my father flew back into the country after 22 years, you know what I mean? I've had all these things happen that have, like, and I put them all in one room and said, that's your family, right, now there's the door, you can all leave now, you know. And to be quite honest, if I can sit here now after 5 years of doing music, and 12 years of living my life as a b-boy, and 12 years of, and before that 12 years of pain, you know what I mean, and still be sane and still be positive. Anything can happen to anybody. Anybody can get up and say, today I'm going to change, today I'm going to do this. And it does take time. It does take a lot of time, but you can do it. It's so easy. You know, luck doesn't really come into it. Pain definitely comes into it. So I believe it's really important for the faith of things for me. And I'll Be There For You, which is a real techno edge tune for me. It's from my brother Stuart, who's in prison, you know, and I looked after him for about a year before he got stitched up in a court case in the Midlands, which was terrible. You know, 6 guys set about him. A knife got pulled out by the other guys. One of the parties dropped the knife. He took the knife and cut the geezer. You know what I mean? And he got done for it. He got done with it. You know, aggravated assault and all kinds of stuff. And then, only a young guy, first offence. He had Crown Court for months. So I just took him off my mum's hands for about a year. Took him down with me, and people have seen me around with him in Blue Knot and stuff. My younger brother Stuart, and he's such a good lad to have around. He's really learning the ropes of music and getting him into certain things. He's the only family of mine that I can really say he's my family. I'd lie down for Stuart. Crystal Clear is about me, you know, having all that shit on my mind, doing this album on my mind, getting all the shit in there, and actually finding now it's a bit clearer now. It's crystal clear now. And that's exactly what it's about. I don't know what your impressions was of it, but it's just funk as well. And the fact of wishing we'd have funk 1,000 years, I mean, that's one of the lines in there, which is just like proper funk. Not even jazz, but just funk, I mean, it's that old kind of funk element to me. Moving on to Let Her Fate, which, you know, it's been a lot of controversy on this track. You know, I was hearing it, it's really weird. I heard some stories from the press. It was like, you know, I think even Bjork saw it, I don't know, it's on Being It, about the letter bomb guy and stuff, and all kinds of mixed up crazy stories of what it was. And then, you know, Kate Bush was going to do it, and then Kate Bush was getting on with her album, and Bjork was going to do it and stuff, and, you know, I don't want to chase people to do anything, man. It's the most personal corner of the album, and it's the most personal song I've ever written. Basically, it's about a letter I wrote about 15 years ago, which was about a suicide letter I wrote, which was very hairy and very deep. I just finished a graffiti exhibition. I've seen this girl, I don't really want to name her really, but I've seen this girl, and it really went through a lot of pain for this girl, you know what I mean? Many years ago. And I just went to the States and really missed her and come back, and it never worked out. I went back to the States, came back. It was just heartbreak. It was real heartbreak. And I just finished the graffiti exhibition about 4 weeks after it, and I was just on top of myself. I just couldn't deal with it. I got through a lot of drugs and a lot of things had gone on in my life. And it was the fact of having to come back from my stepfather who died, because I wasn't going to come back from America. And I got a letter from my mum saying, look, you got to come home, but, you know, my husband's dying and, you know, I don't know what to do. And I kind of drove from Nashville, Tennessee to Miami off my box, man, for 18 hours, non-stop, wired like crazy. Like, drove back all the way, got to Miami, got on the plane, flew back to England, and saw this girl. It never worked out, and buried my stepfather and became very bitter, and became at the end of my tether, really. And I just wanted to leave the planet, you know. Nobody ever really knew about it, because that's how things happen when people don't really know about it. You either, for someone other finds you, or you kind of completely break down with yourself. You know, and that's what happened. And I would talk about it now because it's about digging those things up. Because if you don't dig them up, they'll just lie with you forever, man. You know, the amount of abuse I went through when I was a kid, you know, being in the care system and stuff, it's just like silly when you foster parents and different people around it, you know, they don't really come back to you. And because I've been so creative for like 12, 15 years, I've buried a lot of those things, you know what I mean? And Letter of Fate, whereas Adrift was about taking drugs and going to an edge, Letter of Fate was something that and I actually found the letter in my belongings that I saw when I moved house. And I read it and I thought, it's so sad, what were you doing? And I thought, hang on a minute, this is me, I wrote this is me, what, look at me now, where would I have gone, where would I have been, what a waste of time this would have been, do you know what I mean? So Letter of Fate is about writing that letter and being able to write that letter and try and pick up on that minute before it was all over, that minute of complete confusion, of complete, you know, pain, and just saying, look, man, look in the mirror and just look yourself in the eye and say you're proud to be who you are. And out of it has come the most beautiful ballad I've ever written. It caught the emotion and the dynamics of it, the way I wanted it, simple. And I don't sing, man, but all of a sudden watch out, folks, you know what I mean? I'll be doing Las Vegas in 10 years. So it's funny, you know, it's like, hey, Las Vegas. But and I enjoy doing it so much because it's somebody saying, confess your biggest thing ever and just do it, and I did it, and I got the emotion out that I wanted to do it. And the whole fact of the whispered vocal is the actual letter in the background, which will probably take people years to work out what those lyrics are, but you can actually work them out. I may put them on the album, I don't know yet. Onto, you know, Chico, which is an aiming track I did about 18 months ago, which is Chico, which is I got asked to do a Red Hot Chili thing in Brazil. Something happened, somebody never liked something, or something happened, and basically I kind of brought the track back. It's a Blue Note track, it's a Heads track. It's one of those tracks that's been around for a long time. I played it for 18 months and survived everything. And it's only now really dropping. It's really, really dropping. I mean, people just into that track. It's just like, and I used a guitar riff off the guy Chico Science from Brazil, who I was supposed to have collaborated with and stuff. And the tragedy was that he died in a car crash. You know, it was kind of reminiscent of Mark Bolan to me. I'm like, man, you know. And this guy just started, you know, was really respected by a lot of the eye critics in Brazil, and just started his career, just started taking off and stuff. So I thought, you know, if I got it back, let me just put Chico, you know, the tragic death of a rock star. When I was fostered in Chasewater, of all places, which is near Brown Hills, I used to, you know, it was like 4 or 5 of the summer nights. I used to just get on this bike, and I'd be back in an hour. I'd ride as fast as I could away from the house, and it was at the bottom of a street that led into a kind of like over the back, like a recce. And I used to go over there on my bike and play kick the can and stuff, and you know, and old air raid shells, go and collect bullets and stuff, and I'd go to this little place, and I'd find this little place where this little brook with stagnant water, And I always sometimes remember that smell. You know, that, what stagnant water smells like. I'd catch a whiff of it somewhere. And there'd be like grass and growing around it and stuff, and it'd all be boggy and stuff. And I remember I used to find a little area, the same little spot I used to go to, and I just put the bike down. I'd sit down, and then for the first time, it was like summertime, you know, I'd see dragonflies, and it was like massive, bigger than anything else, you know, completely travelled unlike anything else. Its movements were unlike anything else. His size was just unlike anything else. His sound was like completely unreal. And it freaked me out, but there was just so much curiosity in it. Do you know what I mean? And I always wanted to be that dragonfly. And a couple of times I used to just daydream. And I'd think, yeah, if I was out there, I could fly better than anything else and travel. So I kind of daydreamed myself into this dragonfly and just kind of flew around with it a while. And it was my only freedom I had, and dragonfly was about being a dragonfly and having that freedom, and you know, looking down and seeing my back wheel going around really fast, getting away from something, you know, and my little bike and going, and seeing that dragonfly, and then waking up the side of this pond or whatever it was, with the sun going down. It's like, shit, I've got to get back. And I just ride back to the house and go to bed. You know, and I think I always wanted to do a song that was Dragonfly, about that memory. You know, about that, those were the days. That's what the lyric is. You know, all of those childhood ways. You know, it was kind of, it was my innocence before I got through puberty, and it was my complete innocence of that. And no bullying. It was, you know, no abuse. It was just like that freedom was really important. Truth is serious. Truth. I'm still very undecided what is the favourite thing on this album, man. But Truth is really, you know, it's for a very special person. And it's, you know, would you lie to me lately, Truth? You know, would you die for me, maybe, Truth, you know? You know, I'd die to know sometimes the truth, you know. But you will. Everyone's going to die to know the truth. You know, and it's about being really bare. And the whole fact of getting Barry to do it was he wanted to do it. Now I think this track was about me pulling out subconsciously, if it may be for him, a Barry that I used to know. A Barry that I remembered as when I grew up. And the Barry that I have sort of respect for. But Truth, as it is like a 50s ballad. It's a 50s style, 50s, little brushes, little cymbals, and that is it. But as a track, it's as close. It's really weird because until I did Letter of Fate, it was me, and this is my soul singing, and Barry's voice suits it to the ground, and he delivers it with such compassion. It's beautiful, you know. I read the whole thing for him. I said, this is what I want, and this is how I want it. This is how I want it brought out. And he dealt with it in such a professional manner. And respect to Barry, that it's worked so well together, that when I remake it, as I have to leave it like wine to mature itself, which I'm doing. It'll go on the album like it is. And then when I look at it in the new year, I'm going to have a total different rework on it, which will completely dark it out. It was great. I mean, working with him, he's excellent. You know, he gets angry with himself, what I love. And the weird thing about Truth, let me just tell you what one of the weirdest things, I talk about Album of Fates. When you walk into Wardour Street, the building that I'm at is the Trident building, where I was, which is where I got a studio for Rob Playford. I kind of put him onto a guy, Mel Gaynor. And Mel Gaynor was there. And as you walk in there, you know, as you walk in there, you walk up the stairs and there's a massive 10-foot by 8-foot picture of Bowie. Because Bowie worked there when it was the Trident building. He'd recorded there. And the Beatles had recorded there. You know, Hey Jude was done there. And then about 2 weeks before that, I'd been with Stella McCartney because I'm doing some music with Paul McCartney, her father, for his fashion show. and I'd walk around, and I'd had lunch with Paul McCartney, I'd had a meeting with Paul McCartney around his building. I'd walk around the corner, and I'd gone in and there's Barry's picture, and then Barry had came in, and then we'd recorded this track where Barry had been there many years before, which is quite weird for me. It's a weird little thing for that to happen. And working with him was just like excellent. He just came in, David Bowie can walk off the street over large years and just do it. But I think I want to produce some tracks for his next album, which I think I'm going to be doing next year. Fury 2, which is the original This Is a Bad, it's 5 years old, which I did it 5 years ago, which is an epic storm track, and it's like Roughage Crew sound. It's that epicness that I have, and it's a beautiful track, and it's ahead of its time. The breaks, the somber eeriness, you know what I mean? And I've pitched it up to 162 from being like 150 or something like that. But it's a beauty track, man. It's a blinding track. I did the original version, which was Fury with Rob Playford on Moving Shadow for the one-on-one set. And I'd always force people, I want a VIP, I want a roller, I need a roller for this. So I then rolled it out and never ever released that roller. And from that roller, I've then made, this is where This Is a Bad came from, This is a bad, which is where the original vocal came from, or Fury 2. And I thought, you know what, it's time for that original to come out, man. I found the DAT, I'm putting it on there. And it's total respect to, it's almost like looking at the House of Lords, the old heads, they remember this one. And a lot of people go, I played it out. You see, Jay Magic always used to play it. It's really weird. I gave it to Jay, and Jay loves it, and I think it's one of the tracks I really love Jay Magic from. Which is another track I'm working on, which is Kiara, which is not on the album. Kiara, which is a track which Jay Magic had done with a young player who's going to be really, really well known. Piano player, chords player, really good. And Jay Magic had written the chord arrangement. This guy played piano, and it's an excellent track. And it wasn't for just the fact of time. It'd be on this album, but there's just too much now to choose from. So on the remix album, I'm going to put Kiara on there because it's a beautiful track. And total respect to Jay Magic. He's done what Dillinger has done last year, and it's just awesome, man. So I'm going to be doing that, Kiara. So keep in mind that thing, because that thing, look out for that track. It's a total lost track. It's a track about I'd written, before I'd written Truth, before I'd written these tracks, where I started getting to my writing field. And it's a track about, you think it's about a girl, Kiara, but it's actually an island I want to go to when you've chilled out. You know what I mean? And it's a beautiful track. And it's, for Jay Magic is doing things, and this track is really going to do things for him. Demons is a very dark track, and it's all made out of glass, which is really good. It's all made out of glass, which I've now given Dillinger to re-EQ at the moment, because she couldn't get the sound I wanted. Rob Playford's on it. She couldn't get the sound I wanted from it. It's such a serious track. It's a club track, It needs to have the meat in it deserves, So Carl's redoing that now, and it's actually got Gus's voice, who I lived with for 12 years in. And I got him in this real BBC voice saying, like, the art of walking demons is not to fear them, but it's to deceive them. Which, when you live with being dark for so many years, everyone has demons, and you kind of have to learn how to walk them. If not, you could do too much of one thing. And demons is about getting the balance of demons within yourself. And the Germans got a bit mad for that track. It's a very German track. Go on, Germany. It's a very Roughage Crew track, early days. Really glass loop on the front of it, which is an excellent track. I can't really say more than that, what that actually is, but it's the art of walking your demons. If you don't know what they are, then learn. Or you will learn to know what they are when they take you out of the night or make you do something that you shouldn't be doing. And you got to master them. Do you know what I mean? And finally, Temper! Oh, Temper, man. It's just, thrash punk. I had a donkey jacket. I had 18 old Dr. Martens, and I used to go off with GBH, Police Suppression, and Scar, and the Specials, and Temper is the Buzzcocks punk for me. I don't care whether they like it or they don't. It's a simple influence, whether I like it or not, of thrash, punk track. Do you know what I mean? And no one better in the world could get on it except for Noel. Noel just come in and says, I'll give a tape to Noel. He just moved in his house in my street. I said, Noel. I always had respect for Noel, because I saw Noel at, the first time I really met him was at the awards 2 years ago. And he'd won all these awards, man, and he just came over and gone, gee, I just wanted to let you know what you're doing is excellent, superb, mate, just keep it going. And I thought, the geezer, he's the biggest rock star in the world, can come over and tell me that. And I got so much time for how normal that guy is, and I have so much respect for Noel Gallagher, and the best of luck to that guy. And I gave him a tape, and he went, let me even think about it. He'd had the tape for months, about a month, just before he moved house. So he's gone for the chaos of moving house, which is another thing which, when you're doing that shit, you don't want to be having some gigs with Goldie for knocking your door going, no, what about this track? No, so I just left him in it for a while. And Meg, he'd had all the rehearsals starting and it started blowing up and stuff, and Meg was been casing it, for Meg was going, Goldie, I'll make sure it comes out tomorrow morning. I've got it because I have a deadline to do this track. And she's like, cool. And sure enough, I give his roadie the number. The next morning, Noel turns up bright and early. I get 3 points on my licence getting into the studio to do. I just moved house myself. I'm racing out to London with this plainclothes policeman pulling in my lane. I just got my 850 Alpina back. Next thing I know, I get, police, stop, in the back window. I'm like phoning the studio. Rosie, has Rob Playford turned up yet? No, he hasn't turned up. I'm like, shit, he's Noel. He goes, yeah, I should make him a cup of tea, get him whatever he wants. I get to the studio, I walk in, Noel's in there. I'm like, cool, let's go. Bam, we did it. And that was it. And that was Temper Temper. And it's basically a track that was getting out all my violence and getting out all my temper, because my temper's just stupid, silly, crazy temper, and I just kind of get rid of it, and it's a track that kind of diffuses me a bit, and that is Temper Temper, and that is Saturnz Return. That is my album, and I could not be more honest, and I just could not hope that people, I just hope to God that people can deal with it. And I think they will. And I think it's so much more deeper, so much more integral. But yeah, it's going to just connect with so much many people that had things hidden in closets they didn't even know themselves. And I hope it will help them to be their pillow. Do you know what I mean? It helps their anxiety, it helps their angst, it helps their anger. I'm there for them, man. Anybody who listens to the album, anybody on the street can say to me, Goldie, what does that line mean? Or what does that mean? What is that? Or Goldie, you're right, Or Goldie, thanks a lot, man. Or that track did that. Or that track did that, or on this, and it's just the most beautiful thing I can ever put back into this music.